Welcome back, everybody. My name is Gregtech, and this is Gregtech New Horizons. So, I've been hard at work between the last video and this video, building up a bunch of materials so that I could go ahead and just slap them all together and get stuff produced. First thing I'm making here is the EV electric pump that I'm going to need for my EV dynamo hatch. I also have the materials necessary in order to make 10 of the HV pumps, and that's because I will be needing all of those guys in order to complete some of these other crafts. Namely, I'm going to have those there, and then I am going to need, let's see here, 6, 7, 8, 9, so 18 of these things. Let's go ahead and do that so I can see how many I've got. There we go. 18 of those. And I believe I need to do this over here because last time I tried this, it doesn't like to make the higher end casings unless you are doing it in a higher tier assembler. And I'd really rather not have to waste the one extra and make it 9 instead of only 8. So there we go. 1, 2, and 3 EV machine hulls. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 HV machine hulls. Is it only 6? 3? Yep, okay, sorry. 2 of those guys will go right here for a pair of oil cracking units. I'm not sure if that will complete the quest. I forget if it needs other stuff along with it, but at least I have those guys prepared and done. I then need 3 more of these, and I am going to need, oh right, these guys use those. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, if I'm remembering correctly. Takes 12 of those, takes 2 of those, and then those guys. Is that right? Maybe not. Let's take a look. Distillation tower. Oh, it takes those pipes that I made. Right, okay. Swap these guys back around, pull those guys out, and then we've got our 6. There we go. 1, 2, and 3. So, all of that stuff will go over here with this giant mess. I'm going to end up pulling all the fluids out of these guys that are over here right now and rebuilding them up in order of height from, I believe it is 12 for naphtha, 8 for fermented biomass, 6 each for wood tar and refinery gas, and then a 5 high for oil. I do not have all of the stainless steel made yet. Most of it is still sitting right here in this bag because it takes an hour and 4 minutes per stack. So I was not eager to get started with that immediately. Basically, I was trying to get the power upgrade done first, and then once I have the power upgrade done, then I will upgrade the EBF, and then I can start cranking these things out a bit faster. The big thing for stainless is that it just takes power. The heat capacity is low enough that once you're up at nichrome, you can get a quadruple increase in speed if you can just get this thing up to EV power instead of HV power. And then also because you are over the heat capacity, it'll also drop the power cost of doing this as well. So it's not even a full amp of EV power, but I would like to have more EV power flowing through my system to start that off. Oops, I started wandering off and I don't have what else I need yet. So down here, I went ahead and I've got 2 robot arms already cooked up. The 2 robot arms can go there along with 2 conveyors. One of those guys, 2 of those there, and then let me grab out these, and whoops, those should go here and here. Maybe not quite, maybe it's like this. There it is, the advanced assembling machine. Now I already had one of these guys made, but again, the idea with creating this second one is so that I can use it to create the molecular assembler here in a bit. I think I've got a little bit of leftover titanium to make that, and then once I have that, I can use it with a few of the parts and some lapis plates that are over in, over in here. Looks like I need some more lapis plates. But getting those guys up and running will make it so that I can then turn this thing into that fluid assembler to start playing around with fluids and maybe look at starting to rip up some of these, all these pipes that are running around here. I can start running stuff through AE2, and that would be wonderful. Over here, we have the advanced cutting machine. I went ahead and made the 3 motors that I was missing from last time and made that EV machine hull. This guy is, of course, required to progress. Let's go ahead and head back. That's on the, oops, we're already on that tab. The EV tab right down here, cutting up stuff at EV, and that will get us to that EV energy hatch. I have not made the coolant cell yet. I haven't made the coil yet. I haven't made the machine hull. I don't think I've made yet. But I was needing that in order to make this power IC. And for that, I have, that guy's doing all right. But I went ahead and I set up this guy right here so that I can slap him down like so. What I can do from there then is I can now grab one of my tanks, set it over here, and have just a fluid, the fluid transposers bring over some of the lubricant into this guy so that I can cut up this pick wafer into the power IC pieces that I need for that EV energy hatch that I can then turn into that EV buffered dynamo. So let's take a look at this guy here. He needs a dynamo hatch, and there it is. So is that what this wants me to make? This wants me to make an energy hatch here. What is the difference between these two? That's an EV machine hull, electric pump, power IC, coolant cell, voltage. What is this guy looking for? He wants a dynamo hatch. Oh, it's got the spring is the difference between the two of them. So I'm going to be making this dynamo hatch for that thing. I'm going to bump it up to a buffered, and then I can increase the amount of lava going through, which will increase the amount of steam coming out. I will have to make a couple more input and output buses there so that I can pump more steam through, and then once that guy is up and running, he'll output, I think it's 1.5, maybe 1.7 amps. I forget the exact amount of EV power, which is why I've been upgrading all of my power lines down under here. Right now it reaches, I probably have another 48 of the quadruple aluminum to make to get it all the way over to where the sifting machine and pyrolyze oven are, but hopefully I can start making more use of that stuff with this EV power setup. So anyway, I'm going to run away. I believe that was everything. No, that wasn't quite everything I wanted to make. I have a couple more things up my sleeve, namely these guys right here. So I have the 4 for that, 1 chrome there, 1 chip there, and I'm going to need one of these guys, an Eye of Ender. There we go. Eye of Ender, and there we go. There's my sensor. The other one that I need is this guy, 2 HVs, and what else does it need? Oh, another one of those plus the 2 gold cables. So I had 2 gold cables there for that. And then I need, what is it? 1 more of these Ender Eyes. There we go. All right. And with that in place, we can now stick these guys down. I have 1 more machine hull left. I have Do I need... I only need 2 of these, right? Nope, 4 of them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then 2 gold cables. And there is the advanced scanner. Now, the advanced scanner I have to have... I'm going to find a spot for it over here somewhere. Maybe like right here. Hopefully that will keep it continuous enough power. If not, I'll have to go run into my clean room and grab that battery so that it can use that. It's a couple spots away from this transformer, but it gets 4 amps. May or may not be enough. We'll see. Either way, I have a solution for still being able to utilize it, but that is what I need in order to do this stuff right here. So let's take a look at this. We've got our scanner, we've got our data stick, and it's going to take 6 minutes. Actually, if that is the case, even though I won't want it permanently here, why don't we go ahead and... That's already a high voltage transformer, and this will guarantee that it's got enough power for long enough that it can do this. And that'll be to start this guy up here. Data stick first, slap that in, and that will take 6 minutes. So let that run. That will be nice to have done. That will get us, let's see here, that'll get us to our space race. It won't be the actual thing. We have that, so you saw that complete. It'll get us this stick. I need to make 1 mainframe out of 2 of these workstations right here. I did plan for that. And then I'm going to have to make the tier 2 heavy plate. Once I do that, I can make the schematic, and we'll be looking at the next quest in the space race. So yeah, all of this work, all of this effort trying to get us enough setup to automate some more things, and then also getting us over to Mars and Phobos. So I will break away. I'm going to go ahead and get this stuff done, and we'll see you back here in a bit. All right, I am back again, and I have a bit more stuff that I can accomplish. I'm going to start off by getting this tanned leather and this wax thrown into the forming press. That will make the hardened leather that I can use to upgrade these middle backpacks to the big backpacks. That'll be very handy. I went ahead and also got together the parts that I needed in order to make this molecular assembler, which I'll wait for the quest to complete. There we go. And then if we slap that in here, I can make that IMI fluid assembler that I've been wanting to make. Now this guy, he takes patterns, for one thing, but when you slap him onto something like that, you can see all the different patterns that he should be able to make, should be able to hold, not make. And then I'm going to test this thing out and see if I can make any kind of patterns for unusual stuff like let's do a fluorine. Fluorine ought to be somewhat rare enough. Let's see if we can do that. There's fluorine. We'll grab a cell of that. And let's see here. I need a pattern terminal. Slap that guy on there. And I should be able to say I want an empty cell to a fluorine. Let's see here. Slap those in there. I don't need it to go to a universal cell. Maybe if I put it there. No, that's... Huh. Alright, I'm going to have to play around with this and see if I can't figure out what is going on. I do not want stuff to go to the universal cells. I really would like it to go to a fluorine cell. And then put that pattern into that guy. So I'm going to play around with this, see if I can figure that out in a little bit. I also went ahead and gathered up a couple pieces of platinum, made some more reinforced glass, and there is my advanced electrolyzer. That is not a required quest. If we look in the EV quests, they have you go to pulverize the moon in order to make the moonstone dust. And then if you take a look at what that outputs, it outputs the tungstate dust. And unfortunately, the tungstate dust, if you go over to the electrolyzer, requires an EV electrolyzer in order to do this. And unfortunately, the quest line doesn't actually have you do that in order to get the tiny bit of tungsten. The only reason that quest is done for me is, of course, because I have that tungsten steel that I got from all those little pipes. I went ahead and converted them out into ingots so that I could make use of them that way. Last thing I do have, though, is I have this stuff. I also need to go ahead and make my my shadow ore. And so this will be rather interesting. I have no water in there. Go figure. I'm just going to make the first one on camera, but you guys saw the materials that I used in order to get this guy. And then I'm going to make all 32 of those. I have all the components there with these files. One of those, 1.5 of those, and 2 of those get you 2 of these. So yeah, if I go ahead and drop 1, 1, 1, and 1, I can get 1. And then I have to do another one of those, another one of those, another one of those to get a second one, and then a third and a fourth. And that should have gotten me another one. Alright, well, I probably just ruined that. 2 of those. 6, 16. Maybe I need a third one of those. And it's all screwed up now. So I'm going to end up making more stuff. And yeah, that's going to be fun. Yeah, this thing is not going according to plan at all. Alright, well, enough with that then. I'm just going to go ahead and clear it out because those ores are not popping out where they should, and I am not getting the ore that I need. So anyway, I will finish doing this kind of stuff. Oh, you know what? I didn't put in another one of those. Alright, that's fine. I'm going to gather up more of the materials that I need just so that I can get enough of this shadow ore so that I can make one of those larger turbines to be prepped and ready for as soon as I can make the energy hatch. The reason I haven't made the energy hatch yet is oddly because the EV cutting machine doesn't like working off of my HV, my little HV thing. I guess the power requirement is just enough that it being right here next to it caused it to fail with power. Even though it was sitting right next to enough to give it EV power, for whatever reason it doesn't want to do it. So what I'm going to end up doing is I am working to make the energium dust so that I can then smelt that up into the energium crystals. This guy right here, just so that I can complete that quest in, I believe it's the HV line. Yeah, so I can complete this quest right here. Have to make 4 of the energy crystals, and then that will open up this quest here to make the Lapatron dust and then make a Lapatron crystal. And once I have a Lapatron crystal, I'm going to slap it into that EV cutter, and that should provide it more than enough power fast enough that it should be able to complete that craft. I suspect a similar issue is going to happen with my advanced electrolyzer when I am trying to separate out the tungsten. So yeah, definitely something I am going to work on. I will need to make more energium dust, of course, but yeah. Another thing I did is I popped another control, not a gearbox, not a hatch, but one of the controls onto this guy, and it is pumping out even more of the resources faster. I found that the edges weren't getting hit as often as it could. I then went ahead and planted both a papyrus and a moss plant, so that I could get, the papyrus plant is nice because it will provide you with paper. There's my paper. And then the moss plant will get you this tree moss, which is pretty much worthless, but it'll also get you this moss patch and the moss in order to make the ball of moss from Tinkers in order to give your tools repair. So I'm looking forward to doing that because I could use repair on my bolts and on my pick. If I ever get my pick to level up, it's pretty slow to level up when using manual and tools, so there is that, especially when I've got an HV miner that I run around using to dig up most of my materials with anyway. So I am going to figure out the ore situation, get what I need back in more Precantatio and Metallum and stuff, and get this stuff set up and ready and knock out all of this shadow ore. And just from there, like I say, I'm smelting up a bunch of the energetic alloy dust into ingots so that I can melt them down and make the energium crystals. And then as soon as I get some more chrome, I'm going to make these guys into the vibrant alloy so that I can do the next step up, those Lapotron dust and Lapotron crystals. So I'll see you guys back here after a while. All right. While I was off camera, I went ahead and upgraded my bags to their largest size now. They are nice and gigantic. I also went ahead and made some of the vibrant alloy. I was able to get a stack, and so I put some of it over to process over in the EBF. Then used the vacuum freezer, got some of those ingots. I used the this guy right here, this advanced fluid extractor. Be warned, when you melt, when you do a fluid extraction on vibrant alloy, it's 3300 Kelvin, I believe it is, and this tiny bronze fluid pipe does not like heat that, or stuff that hot, and it started a fire on top of my thermal centrifuge that I had to repeatedly put out while I was waiting for it to fill up, and then had it make the 4 raw Lapotron crystals. I decided to take some of the advanced circuits that I was going to use for making LCRs and decided to use them instead to make the Lapotron crystals. And of course the reason for that is because this right now is more important than some LCRs. I can easily make some more HV circuits, but the important thing right now is trying to get this stinking power upgraded. I also went ahead and found out that the fluid assembler only likes to work with recipes that you can find with a bucket and certain cans. I'm not sure. I have not been able to get this thing to work in terms of making like the fluorine. I was kind of hoping there might be a bucket of fluorine, but I have not seen one of those. So, you know, some of the stuff I'll be able to use, I should be able to do like an ethanol bucket. I should be able to maybe do liquid sunshine, honey bucket. So some of these things I might be able to get working with it, but overall I may have made a giant mistake in trying to use the fluid assembler and wasted an MV assembler. Or sorry, an EV assembler, not an MV. So yeah, that may have been a mistake, or I could have left it as an item assembler. I wonder if I can. I betcha I cannot deconstruct that, can I? Let's see here. If I right click it, I could go to a fluid autofiller, but I don't think that's going to help me either. Something tells me that's not going to help me that much either, so I may just leave it there and keep it as a reminder to maybe ask questions before I build crazy things. I don't know yet. I might find a use for it. They may come out with a fix later on to allow me to use some of those other fluids, give some kind of recipe in order to create that. Hopefully something. It'd be nice. But in any case, here is the Lapotron number 4. And that should get me a quest complete. So the Lapotron crystals there, gets from the EV assembler through the crystals, or through the dust and into those crystals. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this guy right over here, and I am going to pop him in there. There we go. That will allow him to charge. It'll, of course, probably drain these guys as it's charging up to the 4 million that it can hold. Yeah. Or sorry, 10 million, not 4 million. That 10 million will be very handy. That is, oddly enough, more than 4 of these guys. 4 of these guys can only hold, what is that, 66.4 million EU? So these guys holding 10 million EU will be extremely helpful. Once that thing finishes up, I'm going to whack this guy with a rubber mallet, and that way I can start to use it. These other 3 I will probably do similar. I'm going to definitely need one for the electrolyzer. If that cutting machine can't handle it, then slapping the electrolyzer down onto this cable somewhere isn't going to make matters any easier. Also, I need to reorganize my wall. If you've noticed, I've had this LV wall, with the exception of this thing right here, the universal macerator, for quite a long time. So I may need to go ahead and upgrade that. You also will see I've got a mess of copper and nickel in here. That is actually going towards making cupronickel. And the reason for making cupronickel is because I need to make 21 more of these cupronickel coil blocks, and those will work in conjunction with, where is it? This bag, with the oil cracking unit. It says a ring of 8 cupronickel on each side, which is 16 for the first one, but they should be able to share one long side, and so that will take care of 3 of the rest of those, well, technically 6. So I only need 10 more after the initial 16, so 26. I've got 5 right there. Another 21 should do it, and that would be nice. Oh, good. I like that this bat... Oh, it's not actually stuck in there. Drat. I was hoping it was actually stuck inside the thing. I cannot stand these bats. So, in any case, yeah, that has been what I've been up to. Basically just doing what I can with my not quite 1 amp of EV power. I really should actually make a new stock keeper, and... See, that's where I'm struggling. I want to make a new stock keeper and, oh, what's the other thing? Extractor to work with my 4 turbo fuel generators over there. But at the same time, I kind of don't. I would kind of rather hook up a fluid import bus onto my fluid... onto my fuel storage that I've got right there, and then slap a storage bus on top of the tank that's holding the fuel in there in order to power those 4 generators and give me an extra boost of power. That is far easier to do it that way than it is to make 2 new chips when I'm sitting over here planning on trying to rip out all this stuff and moving strictly to an AE2 system. So I've got a little bit of work ahead of me, at least making progress in any case, especially with getting this Lapotron crystal. The next thing after this is, of course, to finally get that power, since I'll be able to make that cutter. I will probably also end up making an EV energy hatch at some point. The energy hatch itself doesn't require any circuits, so I can definitely make one of these, and then I would like to put that on my EBF. I will also need others for probably the vacuum freezer before too long. So yeah, definitely need to get some power upgrades and, of course, make more power at that. So In any case, I am going to go ahead and call this episode good. I'll be working on stuff as I play, and hopefully before too long I will have something worth showing and bring you guys back in here in the next video. We'll see you then. Till then.